two young women, Chris Kremers and Liz Frun, set out for a simple hike in the lush, green jungles of Panama, their hearts full of adventure. It was April 1st, 2014, a day like any other, until they vanished without a trace. Days passed, yet their phones kept dialing emergency numbers, desperate calls swallowed by the wilderness. Then a chilling discovery. Their camera, filled with photos, blurry shots of the dark jungle, scattered belongings, and something else, a shadowy presence lurking in the frame. What watched them from the trees? And why didn't they ever come back? Two women, Chris Kremers and Liz Frun, stepped into the wilds of Panama with the kind of optimism we all remember from our younger days. Chris, 21, with her bright smile, and Liz, 22, with her quiet determination, were Dutch students on a journey to volunteer and explore. It was April 1st, 2014, and they'd arrived in Boquete, a sleepy mountain town nestled in the highlands, where the air smells of coffee and the jungle hums with life. They weren't reckless kids. They'd planned this trip, told their host family they'd hike the El Pianista Trail, a path known for its stunning views of misty peaks and cascading waterfalls. They even brought a local dog along, a scruffy companion from their lodging. It was supposed to be a day's adventure, a chance to stretch their legs before their volunteer work began. But that day stretched into forever. Imagine it, a trail winding through dense green, where the sun barely filters through the canopy and every rustle could be a bird or something else. For folks like us who've seen a few decades, it's easy to picture the excitement of a new place, the kind of thrill that makes you feel alive again. Chris and Liz felt it too. They snapped photos, smiling selfies with the jungle behind them, the dog trotting ahead. They'd hired a guide for the next day, but this hike? This was just for them, a spontaneous jaunt. They told their host they'd be back by afternoon. The clock ticked on, but the girls didn't return. By evening, the host family grew uneasy. The dog wandered back alone, its fur damp from the jungle, but Chris and Liz were nowhere to be seen. A call went out, first to friends, then to local police. In a town like Boquete, where everyone knows everyone, word spread fast. Search parties formed, boots crunching through the undergrowth, voices calling their names into the thickening dusk. Nothing. No sign of them, no cries for help. Just the endless drone of insects and the whisper of leaves. For those of us who've lost track of someone, a child late coming home, a friend who didn't call, it's a feeling that gnaws at you, that quiet dread that something's gone wrong. Days turned into a week. The trail, so picturesque in postcards, became a puzzle. Had they slipped off a cliff? Gotten lost in the maze of vines and rivers? Panama's jungles aren't like the woods we might have walked in our youth. They're wild, untamed, with paths that twist and vanish. The girls' parents flew in, their faces etched with the kind of worry we've all felt at some point. Volunteers combed the area, helicopters buzzed overhead, but the jungle kept its secrets. It was as if Chris and Liz had stepped off the edge of the world. And then a flicker of hope, or something darker. Their phones, lost somewhere out there, started making calls. Emergency numbers, 112, 911, dialed again and again, days after they'd disappeared. Were they still alive, fighting to be found? Or was something else at play? The jungle held its breath, and so did we. What happened to those two young women? What did that camera of theirs see in the shadows? That's a story for another day. But trust me, it's one you won't forget. Weeks had passed since Chris Kremers and Liz Frun vanished into the Panama jungle. And for those of us who've lived long enough to know how hope can fade, it felt like the end of the story. The search parties dwindled, the helicopters went quiet, and Boquete settled back into its routines. But the jungle wasn't done with us yet. 10 weeks later, a local woman wading along a riverbank stumbled on something. A blue backpack, weathered but intact, half buried in the mud. Inside were sunglasses, a bit of cash, 2 phones, and a camera. It was theirs. For anyone who's ever lost something precious and found it years later, that moment hits hard. A mix of relief and dread, knowing it might tell a tale you're not ready to hear. The police cracked open the phones first. Chris's iPhone and Lizanne's Samsung lit up with a chilling record. Starting April 1st, the day they disappeared, emergency calls, 77 attempts to 112 and 911, stretched over days. Some connected for a heartbeat, maybe 2 seconds, before the signal died. We've all fumbled with a phone in a panic, praying it works, but this was different. By April 3rd, the calls stopped. Then something odd. Chris's phone powered on and off, over and over, with wrong pins entered, like someone was guessing in the dark. Was it Chris, delirious and desperate? Or someone else holding it? The thought lingers, doesn't it? Something we might have felt when a call we expected never came. But the camera, that's where the story turns cold. Inside were over 100 photos. The early ones were normal. Chris grinning by a waterfall, Liz pointing at a trail sign. The kind of snapshots we've all taken on a good day. Then a gap. No pictures for days. Until April 8th, 7 days after they vanished, when 90 photos flooded the memory card, all snapped in the dead of night. Flash cutting through pitch-black jungle. Random shots of branches, rocks, a plastic bag tied to a stick. One showed Chris's belongings scattered on a stone, like a marker left behind. Another, a close-up of the back of Chris's head, her hair matted, maybe with blood. No faces, no explanations, just chaos frozen in light. For those of us who've sat up late wondering what happened to someone we love, it's the kind of image that haunts you. What were they doing? Some say they were lost, using the flash to signal for help. Others whisper darker things. Those photos weren't random. They were proof something was out there watching. The jungle's alive at night, full of sounds we don't understand. Rustling leaves, distant cries. Maybe they heard it too, felt eyes on them. One photo's missing, number 509, gone from the sequence, like someone didn't want us to see it. A glitch? Or a secret erased? We've all had moments where the truth feels just out of reach, haven't we? The backpack itself raised questions. Found miles from the trail, it was too clean, barely scratched, contents dry despite weeks in a rainy jungle. How'd it get there? Did the river carry it, or did someone place it? The phone still worked, the camera clicked on. It's the kind of mystery that sticks with you, like a letter you find years later with no return address. And those night photos, they don't let go. Were Chris and Liz alone, fighting to survive? Or was something or someone out there with them, just beyond the flash? The story doesn't end here. Bones would turn up, bleached and broken, and theories would swirl. But that's for next time. For now, picture those two women, lost in the dark, their camera capturing something we can't unsee. What do you think it saw? The jungle had held its silence for months after Chris Kremers and Liz Frun disappeared, teasing us with that backpack, those phones, and the haunting photos. For those of us who've seen enough years to know how stories don't always end neatly, it felt like the truth was slipping away. Then, in June 2014, the jungle gave up more bones, scattered along a riverbank miles from the El Pianista Trail. A shoe with a foot still inside, Lizanne's, the flesh oddly preserved. Chris's pelvic bone, bleached white as if scrubbed clean. A few other fragments, too little to tell the whole tale. We've all lost things over time, keys, memories, but this was different. This was final, yet maddeningly incomplete. The official story came quick, an accident. They'd gotten lost, the experts said, slipped off a cliff or drowned in a swollen river. Panama's wilds are unforgiving. Steep drops, flash floods, trails that vanish in the rain. For folks like us who've navigated life's twists, it's easy to imagine two young women, tired and scared, making one wrong turn too many. The backpack washing downstream, the phones dying out. It fits, doesn't it? But then you look closer. Lizanne's bones showed no breaks, no signs of a fall. Chris's were bleached, unnaturally so, like they'd been boiled or left in the sun too long. And that backpack, pristine, found upright, as if placed there. We've all had moments where the simple answer didn't feel right, haven't we? Others saw darker threads. Foul play, they whispered. Boquete's a quiet town, but jungles hide secrets. Bandits, traffickers, locals who know the paths too well. Could someone have followed them, waited until they were vulnerable? Those night photos, Chris's head, the scattered belongings, could be a killer's taunt, a trophy left behind. The missing photo, number 509, fuels it more. Was it erased to hide a face, a clue? We've lived long enough to know evil doesn't always announce itself. It lurks, quiet and patient. Yet no arrests, no suspects. Just bones and questions. Then there's the wilder talk, the kind that creeps into late-night thoughts. Something else in the jungle, supernatural, unexplainable. Those 90 flash photos, snapped in a frenzy, feel like a scream into the dark. Were they signaling, or trying to see what was out there? The tied plastic bag, the random shots. Some say it's proof of panic, others say it's a ritual, a mark left by something not human. The bleaching of Chris's bones, the eerie stillness of it all. It's the stuff of campfire tales we've told or heard. Even now, in our years of reason, don't we sometimes feel a chill we can't explain? The truth? We'll never know for sure. The case closed, accident they called it, but the pieces don't all fit. That camera saw something, captured a moment we can't unsee, yet can't fully grasp. For Chris and Lizanne's families, it's a wound that never heals, a story stuck on the last page. For us who've watched from afar, it's a mirror to life's mysteries. How a day can start with a smile and end in shadow. Were they lost, taken, or claimed by something beyond us? The jungle knows, but it's not telling. So here we are, at the end, or maybe not. Picture them one last time. Two friends swallowed by green, their voices echoing in those failed calls, their camera flashing against the dark. What do you think happened? Was it a tragic misstep, a hidden hand, or a secret the jungle keeps? I've lived long enough to know some questions stay with you. Tell me yours. Maybe together, we'll find a piece of the truth. And as the jungle swallowed their story, it left us with whispers, echoes of their laughter, the click of that camera, and a silence too deep to break. Maybe they're still out there, lost in the green, waiting for someone to find them. Or maybe the truth is darker, watching us back. What do you believe?